Hi everyone, Psychic Medium Jojo Empathic here. So this is going to be Empathic Mirroring Part 2. So the last video that I made on empathic mirroring, I was anticipating it'd be about maybe 15, 20 minutes, 30 max. And it went almost an hour. So I had to stop, and I'm going to revisit it now and continue. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a long video. I'm going to do a lot of channeling with it. Something that I see, and if you haven't watched the first video, go back and watch it, especially if you're an empath and you're struggling in social situations. You may be struggling with a disease or an imbalance that you can't figure out what's going on. Doctors can't figure out what's going on, but you have a feeling or an inclination, a knowing. It may be tied to spirituality or energy or the things unseen, the invisible world, and maybe you're trying to dive a little bit deeper in your own journey. That video should help. Empathic mirroring is something that I would say can be dangerous if we don't check, if we don't ground, and if we, number one, don't have awareness that it's happening, number two, or the steps or techniques necessary in order for us to take charge of that very powerful, intelligent ability, okay? So again, my name is Jojo Empathic from jojoempathic.com. Please like, subscribe to my channel for more interesting content on spirituality, medical intuition, and all things spirit realm, the invisible realm. Okay, so mirroring, part 2. Something that empaths struggle with is manipulation by other people. Drop a comment and let me know if you've had a conversation with someone before and all of a sudden you notice that you're leaning into almost like a people pleasing attitude. You don't want to be like that, but you're just starting to people please around a certain person. Has that ever happened to you before? Or when you're talking to someone, you notice after the conversation that you kind of shifted yourself. When you were talking to them, you're not as grounded anymore. You're not in your truth as much. You're kind of leaning into what they want you to say, how you're thinking, how they want you to think. This is a form of empathic mirroring that I think we all, if you're an empath and you're struggling, need to understand and have awareness of so that it's not happening. So many people come into my office, get readings with me, and they explain situations where they start doing things that are just out of their norm. They're doing outrageous behaviors, these crazy acts that it's like, why did this happen? And I've gone through things like that in my life where I'm like, that wasn't me. I was completely possessed by a part of me. I was completely possessed by a spirit, something. That wasn't me. Now, a lot of times we can't be honest with ourselves enough to say that. Why? Is because we don't have the awareness or education on possession, on attachment, on this whole human channel, we're all mediums type of information. We don't know, and so we kind of just ignore it. And we don't want to admit it. We don't want to admit we have possession. We don't want to admit we have spirit attachments because it sounds dirty. It sounds like I'm ignorant. It sounds like I'm a bad person. The church gets in the mind like a chip that says, don't help yourself, don't be honest with yourself, and ignore it. A lot of people will tell me that they go get spiritual help from pastors. They say, ignore the paranormal, ignore these problems as if it doesn't exist. And it grows into this large problem where we're doing these acts, we're acting out, not in our authentic self, not in our truth. We're being manipulated by other people. So we can see this type of empathic mirroring leading into possession when we have heavy drugs, when we get drunk. It feels like there's a part of us that's taking over. But let's bring it back to empathic mirroring to where you're not drunk. You're having this conversation with someone, but you're shifting. You're mirroring the way they move all of a sudden. You're talking kind of how they talk all of a sudden. You're saying things to please them. You're saying things to get their validation. This is a form of empathic mirroring of when it can get dangerous. We don't want to get into this type of behavior as an empath because you're not you. And when you're not you, when you're acting out not in your true self, who's in there? What part of you is running your body? Then you start making mistakes. Then you start having these regrets. Then you start to get low self esteem because you're like, I don't want to go over here because every time I do, I just I'm a gab. I talk too much. I say too much. I spilled too much of my personal information, so I'm just going to stay home and not be around people because I can't control myself. You can, dear empath, you can learn how to manage this ability. And the number one step you want to do is just to become very, very grounded in yourself. When you start to notice, I'll give you an example. When you're an empath, you get a lot of attention. A lot of people want to tell you their life story. When, let's say, if you're in a position like me where you're public about this, everybody has to get a judgment of you. Everybody has to get to know, what is this all about? So there was this woman that she just kept coming to my office, coming to my door, just had to make herself known and just try to come in, try to see what's going on in here, acting as if she's sending me people, acting as if maybe she wants to kind of, book something with me just to get a feel for what's going on. And that's fine. We do that, right? We judge. Let's be real. We have to. It's a safety thing for a lot of us. But I noticed there's something going on. I'm a professional. I'm aware of it, probably more than the average person, of when these type of things happen and what's really energetically taking place. It's the need to control when I don't know what this is. I'm older. I'm wiser. She knows something. She's younger that I don't know. Let me try to get in the grip of it. So when I'm speaking to this woman, after some time, I start to notice when I'm having this conversation with her where it's just like, I said something like, she was like, oh, I love your website pictures. And I was like, oh, it's AI, you know. And then after I had that conversation, and I'm just like, why say that? It's almost like in that conversation, it was almost like I just blurted out the truth of something that I wasn't being honest about, right? I don't care. My whole website's full of AI stuff. I don't care. It's clear. That's not my point. This is a higher form of thought. If you're following me, stay with me. I'm almost there at this point. What happens to empaths is they're tuned into the fields around them. So sometimes when they talk to people who are testing them, who are challenging them, who are like, I'm going to catch this woman in a lie. For my field, people like to catch us as frauds. They're waiting for something, for me to say something that's off. They're waiting just to say, oh, no, that's not accurate. Oh, no, she's not specific. They want to block it. And also, because I'm in the healing arts, in the light worker, I'm usually there are people out of people's path towards clearing and healing. So what do we naturally do? We block that, right? So back to this conversation with this person afterwards, when I reevaluated and kind of replayed that situation, it was like what I was feeling about this person was very true. She ended up, never booking. No one that she sent to me actually booked. It was all just to get, her nose and sniff. But that situation was a perfect example for me to make this video and share with you. Drop a comment if you know what I'm talking about. It's where you start to fall for what other people are projecting on you. You start to slip, if you're not grounded enough, into what other people are wanting you to do or say. Do you see where I'm going with this? This person has this belief like something's, she's checking me out. Like there's something false about this girl. And when I just blurt out, oh, it's AI. She's like, oh, stop it. You're so beautiful. And it was just this whole weird situation of where I was just giving into someone else's projection. It's not that I'm like false. It's it's that I was mirroring in a sense what this woman was projecting to me, which is that something is not all the way truth about this person. What is it? My website pictures are edited, just like everybody else these days. Shoot, every other person that's in a magazine, right? It's not like anything that serious, but it's a very honest kind of conversation of when that type of negative empathic mirroring happens in my life that I have to check myself. I have to get more skilled in. For me, Sensing other people's projections is very real. It's very real. It makes it hard for me to have a lot of relationships with people that are unaware that thoughts project into the field and can be sensed remotely. Very difficult. So if you're an empath and you're struggling with social situations, which a lot of people do, and these type of conversations I'm having today in the last video with empathic mirroring, give an explanation. You have to stop leaning into other people's projections of you and letting it win. Letting what they believe, their false beliefs about you, about reality, win or control you. You can't ever do that. That's when you're slipping. That's when you're not grounded. That's when you get used, manipulated. That's when you start to change yourself in environments because it appeases someone else. You have to stop being the nice guy. Is I think where I'm going with this. But if you're an empath, you'll get to the point of exhaustion to where you say, no more Mr. Nice Guy, no more Mr. Nice Gal. Tell these people to mind their own business and stay up out of my office. There ain't nothing to see here unless you want to sit down and buy. It's just like open up to the truth. If not, leave. You're manipulating and you don't have any awareness that you're doing it. I put a message out in my group chat today about your own power in what you're thinking, your own power in what you're giving into, right, is up to you. You have to be able to master that. And I think that a lot of empaths really struggle with this authenticity because a lot of us are like chameleons. So another part of that is the falsehoods that are being projected to you. Don't give in to that. And when you're having conversations, and I see this time and time again, so many empaths are in relationships that are just so toxic. And we have this belief that we should be there. We should have this friend. We should stay connected to this family member. We should be here. We should be doing that. And it drains you. And it depletes your life force. It makes you change, and it makes you lie. It makes you say things you don't want to say. It pulls you out of your grip. You can't live your life like that. You have to learn how to master your empathic ability and stop and mold and mirror when it's beneficial for not just you, maybe the whole collective. But don't just be this open channel to let other people's thoughts and projections and manipulations get you like that. Don't do that. And you have to have awareness if you are doing that you're doing it, number one. And number two, you can do stuff to stop it, which is intention, which is being more grounded, which is staying away from people that are constantly trying to test you, constantly trying to trip you up, constantly like, just that like jealous, like, I'm watching you from the sideline. You can watch, but it's always up to you, empath, if you allow the manipulation to play out. It's up to you. So projections are very real. And if you're an empath, you're usually someone who people do have their eye on. There's a thing of like empaths are usually too good to be true. Empaths are really questionable. A lot of people have a lot of curiosity about the person that's emotional, that can mirror and that can emote and that can feel deeply. It's questionable in like society's judgment book because this person may not be seen as reliable or stable. Okay, so you have to really understand that you're in a place when you have this empathic ability to be a mirror, and it can be toxic. And if you're sensitive, a lot of times empaths don't want to hurt other people's feelings, and they get roped into these type of conversations like I did, where I'm just like, this person's always stopping me, always trying. I just stop and I talk. I don't want to be mean, to the point of where I say, am I like being manipulated here? Let me cut this quick and stop it. Because that's a very, the example I gave was very, minuscule, but it can be very deep, especially if you have no awareness of it. And what happens is people don't know about these type of things, so they hate themselves. Empaths will begin to hate themselves for every time, they'll say, every time I get into a conversation, I end up saying something stupid. Every time I go around people, I end up doing this, and I hate that. I don't know why I do it. I just do it. It's because there's a quantum field that you're sensing. Don't have me get my marker out. I will. You know, I will. So everything is a vibration. This is just something. It's vibrating. It's a rock. Thoughts. So if we draw like a brain, okay, and it's giving off a frequency. Who you're connected to, okay, this is a person, let's say, and this is another person. Let's say we have a relationship between a mother and daughter, okay? Wow, I'm looking in. I'm not an artist. This doesn't look good at all. Bear with me. Let's say we have a dynamic between a family member. I gotta go back to my stick figures here. Okay? This is mom and this is daughter. These two are connected in the heart. There's a rope, an energy cord. They also are very connected at the hip, energetically, and the mind. Now, let's say mom has ideas. She wants her daughter to be a ballerina just like she was. So she's thinking about it, and this green is the thought into the field. Okay? So she's thinking about it. She wants her daughter to be a ballerina. All of a sudden, her daughter says, I like to dance. She's got a vibration. Dancing is fun. Mom grows with it. She grows. Oh my God, she's such a good dancer. She should dance. She should be a professional. Now, the daughter is like, I like to dance. I'm good at it, but I really want to be a veterinarian. Like, I love animals and I want to be a vet. So she wants to go in a different direction, but mom, look how big mom's projections are. And they're connected. So what tends to happen is this person is like, what do we sense? It's right there. Someone else's thoughts. You're connected through the mind. You're connected to the heart. So this person, the daughter, is always subconsciously thinking about dance and making it a career. And then we have societal pressures that say, appease your parents, do what they say. They know what's best for you. Now all of a sudden, daughter's warped into this. Mom, in her heart, she never could fully make her dance career. She sees so much potential in her daughter. She wants to support her in that direction. She wants to live through her daughter. So she's like, well, look, I got you a ticket to go to the show. You're going to meet a teacher there. She wants to work with you. Just give it a try. So she goes, and she's getting roped into mom's projections. This is another kind of simple example of how we get entangled in other people's projections. And in this reality, we don't see this. It's part of the invisible world. We just can't. This daughter, all of a sudden, she develops anxiety and panic attacks because she wants to go in one direction, but she wants to make her mom proud. Everything I just erased is still there. We just don't see it. Thoughts are energy. They are projected. And when you have cords with people, it makes it really hard to get out of their projections towards you. It makes it hard sometimes for you to think for yourself, to be able to operate individually when you're really corded to someone like this and you aren't aware of it. Okay? So I want to add to this that you can be feeling the projections of people you're corded to, even if they aren't in your space, even if they aren't around you, even if they're across the country, across the world. When I go into readings, I go into higher dimensions where there's no time and space between me and who I'm reading. So oneness. That's exactly what's happening interdimensionally and in the unseen world. These invisible cords other people's thoughts, beliefs being projected into the quantum field, the matrix that you're in. And if you are an empath, especially to a heightened degree, you have to be very, very mindful to not like succumb to someone else's projections, to not start believing like certain other people's beliefs, and especially when they're trying to I see this over and over again where I'll give an example of like, this is something very easily done to children, is a lot of times parents will say, oh, this is my good child and this is my bad child. This child is bad. They don't listen. They just want to do whatever they want to do. Now with this kid, they're good. They're the good kid. They listen. They are malleable. But this one over here, he's always in trouble, always in trouble, always in trouble. Science actually studies this type of sociology. What happens by statistics to the good child and the bad child? Well, the good child grows up with peace, more acceptance, more success, while the deemed bad child, projections roped, corded around them, end up, in and out of jail, in and out of rehab, always in trouble because of that projection. So does this happen to just empaths, or does this happen to almost a lot of people? Almost everyone. It's questionable. It's sociology. But being defined here in this context, I'm trying to, through energetics, through spirituality, trying to give some sort of depiction of like why you're molding when you have conversations with certain people and you don't want to. You have to understand that you can't care what other people think about you, empath. You can't. And you need to stop giving into other people's projections, or else you're always going to be roped and you're always going to be out of your true self. You're going to be in another part of you that you don't really want to be operating from. So don't do it. And just have more awareness of you doing it, actually. So that's what I want to say about that. Now, there's another part of, I talked about how thoughts, we as empaths can be influenced by other people's thoughts, their false beliefs, their projections, their words, their toxicity. But one thing I want to bring to your attention, and I know I'm talking about it mirroring, and I'm going to bring religion into this. This is a big one. Empaths mirror other people's illness. They do. Okay? Me as a medical intuitive, I can feel other people's illness in my body sometimes as my own. Headaches, pain, tension, pain in different degrees, knowing exactly where it is, feeling it in my body. That's a form of mirroring, okay? It can be psychic as well. We're going to stay in the empathic ability here. What does religion say about disease? Drop a comment. What does religion say about disease? I grew up a Christian. If you didn't know my story, I talk about it a lot. The Bible. I remember reading about Jesus casting spirits out of people that had skin diseases, and it clears. I remember reading stories about Jesus casting spirits out of people that are paralyzed, and then they can walk. A lot of religions, not just Christianity, claim that diseases and illnesses have an energetics to it. Spirit attachments, possession. Okay? Many people are going to church and reading this book and then having a very logical left brain perception of illness, dismissing spirit attachments, dismissing possession, Or a lot of people are going into religion, they're buying this, right? Fully wholehearted convicted. But when they see possession and spirit attachments and how to handle it, it's usually tied to indoctrination. Sometimes people get cleared, most times they don't. Okay? So let's bring it back to empathic mirroring. Here's mom and daughter. Mom has a full blown possession. There's 7 spirits tied to this woman. They rise up at different parts of her life. They rise up when she drinks. They speak through her when she gets angry. They're blocking the chi flow through her body. And so she's got disease here, imbalance here, pain here. You're not only corded to this person, she's a heightened empath. So what tends to happen is that this empath begins to mirror who they're corded to. Like a mirror, a reflection. Except for the doctor can see these masses on the scan with mom, but when they look here, they don't find anything. They can't find what's wrong with the daughter. Well, she's sensing energy that's not her own. She's mirroring the headache that mom experiences because mom has this attachment. She's mirroring the chest pain because mom has, spirit attachment there to her heart. She's having, problems with the lower part of her body, mirroring her mother. This is something you have to be very careful of. And so I bring up this topic of religion because I would say it's very true. I would agree with a lot of religious perspectives that a lot of the illnesses we're feeling or experiencing are tied to spirit, attachments, and possession. As an empath, mirroring that, you can feel that in your own body. You can feel the twitching. You might feel nauseated being around someone with a lot of attachments. You might get sharp temples. You might feel it in your body, and it's excruciating. It stinks. It has an odor, a phantom odor. It's nauseating. It's revolting. Okay, so there is a lot of truth to when other people are suffering. It is a lot of times spiritual. It is energetic, and if you're an empath, you have to protect yourself from those that can't see that, especially those that believe it but won't walk in it. That's the most dangerous. When you have people that are believing a religion that says diseases are spiritual, they're energetic. I'm not dismissing Western medicine. I'm not saying that at all. Be grateful for it. Use it as helpful tool for yourself to heal. But what happens when we have this belief that imbalances our spirit attachments, and we then begin to separate ourselves between people. We fixate on it. It becomes a part of us. We become convicted in this religion where we're saying things like we need to, maybe there's a mission, like get people on board with us to believe this so that they don't, be condemned to hell, so they don't be punished, so they don't face judgment. But they're walking around with all types of disease, all types of attachments that they're ignoring, that they're acting aren't there. They're, getting treatment that doesn't involve spirit release or clinical depossession. It anchors it. It anchors this toxicity. It anchors this disease. It makes it harder to let go of. You're anchored in. And then there's this soul here who has literally nothing going on in their body, but they're feeling awful. They're feeling so awful. And I think this is the trap of society. I think that there's always an empath around in families and that are struggling and that are, you know, they can't figure out what's going on. They have all of these problems. Think about empathic mirroring and try to help yourself. Stop doing it, and also cut these cords. You have to let this person walk in their false beliefs. That's not your responsibility to fix, heal, or change. You ever heard the expression of like, with your career, if you could change nothing, would you do it forever? If you're with this person and you can't change them ever, if they don't ever change in their lives, would you still be with them? Okay? Because you can't change people and you shouldn't want to. You shouldn't want to change them so they can be with you, right? And you can like them or what have you. The empath needs to understand that you have to be energetically responsible for just your own energy. You have to put an empathic shield around yourself. You have to root and ground yourself with light. You have to focus on you and grounding this. You have to stop mirroring other people, their projections. Half the time are false, half the time are trying. Have a lot to do with control. Power. Who has more power? Let me get more power. Human nature. Root cause of disease. Imbalance of power. Illnesses. Spirit attachments. Possessions. Have you ever been invited somewhere and before you even get there you start feeling sick? You start feeling anxious, sick, uneasy, irritated. That's a big one for me. I'm like, for me as an empath, and I have to stop myself from mirroring, is like, I'm just getting grumpy. Before I go somewhere, I'm like, why am I just all of a sudden grumpy? If you don't check it, you're going to get some sort of diagnosis. They're going to put all this medication on you. When you could have checked yourself, you checked your intelligence, checked your quantum field, checked your abilities, grounded yourself more, walked in more truth, you feel better. As soon as I notice, aha, I'm leaned into the future a bit. I'm leaned into someone else's energy I'm about to go share a room with or, be in the same space with or what have you. It goes away. I push it out. I blow it out. I cleanse. And I say, no more. I won't do that. And I feel better. So you have to process things and you have to have awareness and you have to do stuff about it. And you can't, empaths tend to really feel bad for these people. And they feel just because the church says you should, have a certain family dynamic. The church says what you believe about the family, marriage. The church has the whole control of that. Why you think certain things about family structures, marriage, all of that. It's the church. It's almost like stay corded to this because that's your family. Stay corded here. What happens to the empath, and I see this time and time again as a medium, this person goes clinically, psychologically unwell. This is very serious. This person can't handle this. No one's ever told this person to stop mirroring. No one's ever told this person to stop and just be responsible for your own energy versus someone else. Cut the cords. Be aware that when you're having conversations, you're mirroring other people. They can have false beliefs about you, and you can lean into that, and it becomes your truth. Okay? So I hope that's helpful to kind of bring a representation of what is happening to a lot of people. Empaths, this is the message for you. Learn how to protect your peace. Learn how to protect your space and say, I'll pass. Empath, get better at saying, I'm good. I won't be there. I'm good. No. Protect your sanity because there's a lot that are following these religions and they don't believe what they're really preaching. And what tends to happen to the empath is they get what's the word? Drop a comment that I'm thinking of. They get medicated, they get sedated, they get institutionalized. Okay, a lot of times this person's very vocal. They're speaking out against things. They're noticing the subtle energy shifts, and they're saying things, and no one else can see it. No one else is allowing themselves to see it, so they have to try to stop this person's power, their voice, the truth, because people feel guilty. They feel guilty fundamentally that they're hurting someone else, and they don't know how to stop it. It's all going to come down to education and releasing your ego and learning. Some people can't do that. Some people can't say I was wrong. They will fall in the end. They won't make it. They won't help themselves. You have to say to yourself, I'm wrong at this. I don't know. I want to learn. I want to better myself. I once thought this way. It wasn't true, and now I'm going to think differently. Okay? So stop being manipulated by others. Be aware of projections and how you're mirroring that, as well as illness, toxicity of words, and thoughts. Okay? I want to get into a little bit more. Where are we at time? Oh my gosh, 36 minutes. There's another form of mirroring that I want to talk about so I can move on to another topic for you guys. It's using a mirror as a form of protection. Okay? And this is where we all can have differences of opinions and different levels of consciousness. Because some people will say, other people's projections of you, their witchcraft, their thoughts, their spells, okay? True, aiming towards you. Let's say she's a psychic medium. This is a diehard Catholic mom. She does not want her daughter on this walk. She says, I accept you for who you are, but subconsciously, the hidden, the shadow, is hoping and praying that her daughter, something happens, she learns her lesson, and she gets out of that field. Drop a comment if that sounds like reality in some other way to you, okay? You say, I accept you, but you can feel that someone's just waiting for you to fall, waiting for you to mess up, get in trouble. So you say, I told you so. This is big. Okay? In some forms of higher consciousness, teachers would say in the spiritual field to neutralize all of that coming into your field. Neutralize it with love. Transmute this higher. Send light to it. Transmute it. Not only block it, but make it go higher. You can do that. Absolutely. You should. But what happens when it doesn't stop? What happens when you have multiple people in the family secretly hoping you fail? Boom, 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 like arrows. It's just this guy's getting taken out. He's like always feeling somebody's thoughts, always, feeling projections, feeling the energy, having things be put in their way, roadblocks, you're getting tripped up. A lot of times, remember, what is a curse? It's someone's wish. It's someone's wish. It's their thought being projected in the field, which manifests. Okay? What happens if we need to break a curse? What could we do to help? If all of a sudden, you are trying to neutralize this with love, but every single day, every single week, you're getting exhausted. You're nearly taken out. They don't realize they're doing it. Subconscious. They don't mean it. You're exhausted. You're depleted. Everything is going backwards for you. Things are not opening up. You feel cursed. In the spiritual field, some may say put a mirror up. And in other words, some say they call it reverse back to sender. Sometimes you can use an empathic mirror to protect yourself. Now that tends to stop it, because what ends up happening is you don't end up getting into the car accident, breaking a bone, falling down the stairs, losing pets and stuff. They do. They begin like a mirror, and it tangles them and it drops them. They get caught up in their own projections. That's when an empathic mirror can be useful. And some people say, don't ever get that way, that's revengeful. And until you're in a place of power that people admire, and you have whole armies of people projecting towards you. Some people don't know what that's like. They can't resonate with that message. People don't really care that much about them. But certain empaths have a lot of people projecting, and they're trying to neutralize it. They're trying to do that. And sometimes the best thing to do, and it's not punishment. I don't believe in punishment. It's a lesson. They're getting schooled by their own juice. They're getting a taste of their own medicine. I don't think that's revenge. I'm not doing anything extra. I'm saying enough. Feel yourself. Feel what this is like. I can't take it anymore. I'm broke, homeless, beat up, on the side of the road. No more. This isn't love. You need energetic responsibility. I'm not playing it anymore. Put a mirror up. Their life starts to fall apart, not you. It's not revenge. It's people getting back what they're projecting to you. So why am I saying this? You say, Jojo, you say empathic mirroring, is it good? Is it bad? If you go back to the first video I said, is it a blessing or is it a curse? This is why a lot of people don't wake up, because it's a responsibility. I think you should always, always try to root yourself in love with your decisions, with things you're doing. You have to always try to, look at yourself and say, am I doing this based on fear or am I doing this on love? A lot of times our concept of love is so skewed in this society. I like to explain, if you love you, you love God. And if you love you, you love God, you can love other people with more love. So when it comes to the mirror that you are, I would say the healing message is about you mastering it. You have to learn how to master it. And once you do, you not only begin to attract, because if you ever notice empaths, and this is tied to empathic mirroring, have you ever noticed that you attract the opposite of what you want? Hello, ladies, me. I'm just like, why am I manifesting this dusty? It's the complete opposite of what I want. But have you ever heard that the universe gives you not always what you want, but what you need, right? So one of the ways you can look at when you're manifesting the opposite of what you want, and I've noticed this not only with within relationships or with dating that I have to get control of, but also in my life, where I'm like, I'm in this situation with this very, very logical person. It's the absolute opposite of what I want, but the universe is saying you need it. It's a lesson. It's going to better you. When you master your mirror, you not only begin to manifest the opposites of yourself, of what you want as a lesson, but you begin to attract more of what you do want. You begin to attract more of what you are trying to manifest. Because the mirror can block and reflect as well. That's another part of empathic mirroring. So it's like we can really, really want something, but we block it and we reflect it out of the way. So the empathic mirror is what I would say is one of the hardest abilities to master. It takes time, sometimes years. It takes a certain level of spiritual groundedness, which can take years, sobering years, years of lessons, of trials to get to a state of groundedness, to get to a state of mastering your mirror so that you're not overpowered by other people, so you're not manipulated by other people, and now you have a control of your mirror. You're more in control of what's coming to you. You're manifesting more of what you do want versus just these lessons. Because as a powerful mirror, you will attract a lot of the opposites. Just like the depiction of, I say the story often when I was at summer camp as a child, okay? Mission Meadows, Chautauqua Lake, New York. There was always lights at the where there was like cabins we would sleep in, and then there was like a bathroom house where we would shower and go to the bathroom. And at nighttime, it would attract a lot of bugs. All the light attracted the bugs. You're the light. You're gonna attract the opposite, especially if you're bright. Okay? So master your mirror and see how that improves your overall well being, your health, and your manifestations. Okay? And that's what I've got for you today. How long? 46. So the other one was about the same time. Hope you enjoyed this. I want to hear from you guys. Are you an empathic mirror? Do you struggle with this? What parts of being an empathic mirror do you struggle with? And let me know if you're connecting with what I'm saying and can find this video as a helpful tool for you. Go ahead and apply it to your life and come back and let me know how it helped you to shift and change your reality and you getting more of control over your intelligence versus being controlled by other intelligence.